山东菏泽市牡丹区步行街一对青年情侣跳河身亡。
A heartbreaking tragedy occurred on the pedestrian street in Mudin District, Hezi City, Shandong Province. A young couple committed suicide by jumping into a river due to issues related to a bride price. The incident happened on December 11th. It was said that the bride's family demanded an excessively high bride price, which the groom's family could not afford, leading to an argument between the couple after drinking. According to witnesses, the girl jumped into the river twice and was rescued both times by the boy. However, it is unclear what was said between them afterward, as the boy suddenly jumped into the river first, followed by the girl. The rescue team carried out an overnight operation, and the boy was recovered at 4 a.m., while the girl was retrieved at 8 a.m. Unfortunately, neither of them survived in the end. As a matchmaker, I am deeply saddened by this, and would like to take this opportunity to call for resistance against exorbitant bride prices. I have been working in matchmaking for many years, and have successfully helped countless couples find happiness, but I have never advocated for excessive bride prices. Bride prices should not be a measure of a marriage's happiness, yet they have now become a trigger for disputes in many families. Young people often believe that love is the core of marriage, while elders tend to focus more on the formality and face of the wedding. However, in reality, the stability of the relationship is the key determinant of happiness. In marriages, whether rich or poor, disputes over financial issues are common. However, the root of these arguments is not merely about money, but often the greed inherent in human nature. A family's attitude toward money often reflects their values and qualities. Problems are not frightening. What is truly concerning is the lack of ability and wisdom to solve them. As a matchmaker with 20 years of experience in this field, I have witnessed too many similar cases. Families that make excessive demands for bride prices at the time of marriage often do not find happiness after marriage. Marriage is a union of two individuals and two families. Mutual understanding and tolerance are far more important than unbridled demands. To the men out there, do not compromise your own happiness or give in to unreasonable demands for the sake of avoiding trouble or saving face. If a relationship is measured by money, please do so within your means, and do not let exorbitant bride prices turn an originally happy marriage into a shattered one. May such tragedies never happen again, and may more people see the true essence of marriage, build relationships with sincerity and effort, not on the foundation of money.
这事太可惜了，菏泽一对情侣双双跳河身亡，警方回应
This is a tragic event that makes people sigh with regret. A young couple in Hezi City, Shandong Province, jumped into the river and died after an argument. The police have responded to the incident, and insiders have revealed more details. The incident occurred on December 11th in the pedestrian street of the Mudin district in Hezi City. According to witnesses, the girl, approximately 26 or 27 years old, had a heated argument with the boy, after which the boy angrily jumped into the river, and the girl immediately followed. The rescue operation was intense and ongoing. Witnesses reported that at 4 a.m. that day, the boy's body was retrieved from the river, while the girl's body was found around 8 a.m. Unfortunately, neither of them survived in the end. The local police station has since intervened and contacted the families of both parties. Preliminary investigations by the police confirmed that the couple's river jump was indeed related to their argument. The tragedy quickly spread, sparking widespread discussion among netizens. The Hezi Mudin rescue team also confirmed their involvement in the rescue after being instructed by the fire department, further verifying the authenticity of the incident. Meanwhile, insiders revealed that the root cause of the couple's argument was related to the issue of the bride price. The girl's family had demanded an excessively high bride price, amounting to hundreds of thousands of yuan, which the boy's family could not afford. Although the two were deeply in love, the girl's parents refused to compromise, leading the couple to quarrel over the bride price multiple times. Unexpectedly, the couple ultimately chose such an extreme way to end the pressure, which is deeply regrettable. On the internet, netizens have expressed their condolences for this incident. Some lamented that if they were already unafraid of death, Why couldn't they try to bravely face life's difficulties? If love can overcome all odds, why couldn't this couple triumph over reality? In today's society, true love has become a luxury. However, as long as one is alive, any problem can potentially be solved. Ending one's life over hundreds of thousands of yuan as a bride price is truly a regrettable outcome. What are your thoughts on this?
儿子没有结婚，你再着急，你也不可以接受高价彩礼。
Even if your son hasn't gotten married yet, no matter how anxious you are, you must never accept an exorbitant bride price. Such a high bride price will only plunge your family into an inextricable predicament. The government has been vigorously advocating against high bride prices. But why does this phenomenon still occur so frequently? Next, let's delve into the psychological motivations of the parents and families that demand exorbitant bride prices. For various reasons, it has become especially difficult for boys to get married and start a family nowadays. Many boys frequently face rejection during blind dates. After much effort, they finally meet a suitable partner, only to encounter the high bride price demanded by the other family. When parents face such exorbitant bride prices, their hearts are filled with contradictions and struggles, as well as doubts. Yet, why do they ultimately choose to agree to such a marriage? The main reason is that parents see the children of other families getting married one after another, while their own child still remains single. This makes them feel deeply guilty and anxious. They think, even if it costs everything we have, I must ensure my child marries a wife. I cannot let the lack of bride price money ruin my child's marriage prospects. They are even more afraid that if they refuse this high bride price now, they don't know when their child will meet another suitable partner. However, the truth is, you may think agreeing to the high bride price paves the way for your child. But in reality, you've already pushed them into a bottomless pit. There are two fundamental reasons behind exorbitant bride prices. And either one of these reasons is enough to completely ruin your son's life, or even destroy it. The first reason is that some families demanding high bride prices already have ulterior motives and impure intentions. They exploit the urgency of the groom's family to have their son married, demanding a high bride price, only to eventually commit marriage fraud. The second reason is that even if the other family does not intend to commit fraud, the economic capacity of an ordinary family is limited. Merely purchasing a house or a car already exhausts all their savings. If they have to scrape together a large sum for the bride price on top of this, they will inevitably end up with heavy debt. What's more, such exorbitant bride prices will not return to the groom's family after marriage. Therefore, after marriage, financial strain will make life even more difficult, leading to escalating conflicts. In such a marriage, the bride may despise your son, his parents, or even the entire family. Ultimately, the inability to maintain a normal life could result in divorce. In conclusion, marriage must be based on acting within one's means. Refusing exorbitant bride prices is not only a responsibility to your family, but also a safeguard for your child's future. Otherwise, it will only lead to losing both money and happiness, leaving you with nothing but a disastrous outcome.
越高，这是我听过最多并且最离谱的解释。
Why is it that bride prices are getting increasingly higher nowadays? However, many of the explanations given for this phenomenon are utterly absurd, especially this one, because there are more men than women, with 30 million more men than women, so scarcity increases value, and therefore bride prices are high. Upon hearing this, I have to step forward to clarify and dispel this myth. In fact, this argument does not hold water at all. For those women who remain unmarried, their issues have nothing to do with gender ratio but other factors entirely. First, we need to clarify a key point. The so-called 30 million more men than women is indeed based on the gender ratio of the total population, but it does not equate to the ratio within the marriageable population. In reality, according to publicly available data, there are 2.7 million more women than men in the marriageable age group. This is not a conclusion I made up out of thin air. Anyone can verify this by consulting public sources. Second, there is an even more significant phenomenon, which is the stark difference in geographic distribution between unmarried men and women. Most unmarried men are concentrated in rural areas, while most unmarried women live in cities. I myself come from a rural area.
in our village alone, there are roughly 50 bachelors who have gone to work elsewhere but have not yet found a wife, and this doesn't even include those older men who have entirely given up on marriage. Meanwhile, there are almost no marriageable women left in the village. The young women have mostly chosen to work in cities, and those with better conditions have already married urban men. Even those who remain unmarried rarely want to return to the countryside. They stay in the cities instead. As a result, you can observe a clear phenomenon. There are more unmarried women than unmarried men in cities, and it's even harder for them to get married. On the other hand, the number of bachelors in rural areas keeps increasing. With 2.7 million more marriageable women than men, combined with soaring housing prices, many men who cannot afford housing return to rural areas. These factors collectively lead to a severe structural imbalance in the marriage market between rural and urban areas. In the future, the number of bachelors in rural areas and unmarried women in cities will correspond to each other. Here, we need to pay special attention to one point. The rural population base is extremely large. As of 2021, there were nearly 690,000 administrative villages and 2.6 million natural villages across the country. In contrast, the number of first-tier and second-tier cities can be counted on your fingers. The plight of unmarried older women in cities is far more severe than we imagine. It is regrettable that some older single women are still immersed in the fantasy of, there are more men than women, so I don't have to worry about getting married, without realizing that they have actually been marginalized by the social marriage market. If you don't believe it, look at your friends and colleagues around you. There must be a few women between the ages of 30 and 40 who are still unmarried. On the other hand, men in this age group are almost all either married with children or divorced and remarried. Those women who often claim they are not short of suitors, if they are really so sought after, why are they still single to this day? Even more interestingly, in big cities there are only two types of men who pursue these older single women. One type is the playboy looking for a short-term relationship. The other is the pure-hearted warrior, who doesn't discriminate and chases anyone. The former often has decent financial conditions but has no intention of getting married. The latter has poorer conditions but is sincere, yet not suited for marriage. The only common point between these two groups is that they are both interested in older single women. As a result, these older single women on the one hand keep raising their standards because they are not short of these two types of suitors, but on the other hand they cannot find someone truly suitable and remain unmarried. In the end, the formation of this situation can be said to be a case of success and failure stemming from the same factors. What exactly caused the failure? The answer lies in their own hearts. Perhaps 30 years later, when they look back on their lives, they will think they remained single all their lives simply because they were unlucky.
In
Jiangxi, the tradition of bride price is indeed very prevalent, and the amounts involved are relatively high. Based on the current situation, the bride price in rural areas is generally around 280,000 yuan, while in urban areas, it is even higher, usually exceeding 300,000 yuan. How did this custom of bride price come about? This phenomenon is primarily due to the gradual development of a competitive mentality. For example, if a family asks for a bride price of 100,000 yuan when marrying off their daughter, the neighboring families will use this as a reference and feel that their own bride price cannot be less than 100,000 yuan. Later, if one family raises the bride price to 150,000 yuan, others may follow suit, gradually increasing the amount. This competitive mentality is particularly noticeable in rural areas, leading to the yearly rise in bride price amounts, eventually forming the current high standards. In rural Jiangxi, starting at 280,000 yuan for a bride price is not unusual. As for urban areas, due to higher economic standards, the bride price naturally increases to over 300,000 yuan. However, the exact amount of the bride price still depends on the specific financial conditions of the families involved and the requirements of both parties in the marriage. The bride price is generally borne by the groom's parents, while the bride's family is required to prepare press-bottom money. Press-bottom money is a form of dowry custom, where the bride's family includes this money in the dowry taken to the new household. It is said that the amount of press-bottom money is usually no less than 100,000 yuan, and some families even prepare 150,000 yuan. This money is slightly different from the bride price. While the bride price is paid by the groom's parents, the press-bottom money is brought into the new home by the bride. This money belongs to the newlywed couple's small family and is used to support their daily expenses. For locals like us, although this custom may not be ideal, it reflects the saying, "One region's soil nurtures its people." Over time, everyone gradually accepts it, and it becomes difficult to change. When my daughter got married, the bride price was 180,000 yuan, as she married relatively early. If it were today, the bride price in our hometown has already risen to 280,000 yuan. There is also a noteworthy new trend in Jiangxi regarding the calculation of bride prices. If the groom's family has only one son, the bride price will be slightly lower. However, if the groom's family has two sons, the bride price will be higher. Why is this the case? This is because the bride's family knows that if the groom's family has two sons, the older brother and younger brother. For example, if the older brother marries my daughter, then in the future, the older brother will likely need to help the younger brother pay part of his bride price. Therefore, when the older brother marries my daughter, the bride price must be higher in advance. For instance, if the groom's family has only one son, the bride price is 280,000 yuan. If the groom's family has two sons, the bride price must be at least 300,000 yuan. This essentially means asking for extra money up front to ensure that the older brother has the financial capability to assist the younger brother with his bride price later. Although the bride price customs in Jiangxi are expensive, to some extent, they reflect the local culture and economic conditions. One region's soil nurtures its people, and this habit has been passed down for many years, becoming a part of daily life. While many outsiders find Jiangxi's bride price custom surprising, they may realize upon understanding that it is more of a formal cultural tradition. Furthermore, the press-bottom money brought by the bride serves as a form of reciprocal mechanism and is not purely economic exploitation. Despite the complexity of these bride price customs, they carry the essence of local traditions and have become an integral part of people's lives.
Why do I always say that the bride price is a product of the feudal society? There are historical reasons behind this. Looking back at the marriage system during the feudal era, once a woman married into her husband's family, she was no longer just an independent individual. She had to take on a huge amount of responsibility within the family. She was required to respect and serve her parents-in-law, take care of her husband, handle household chores, and raise children. In other words, almost all family affairs were handled by her. The existence of bride price during that time essentially meant that the husband's family, by paying it, was buying out the woman from her natal family. Her labor and contributions would henceforth belong to the husband's family. However, we are now living in 2025. Social values and the concept of marriage have changed dramatically. Just think about it. Do modern women still want to be purchased by the husband's family with tens of thousands or even hundreds of thousands of yuan, just to become a source of labor, serving their parents-in-law, husband and children unconditionally? Clearly, most people would not want to follow this outdated path. If we don't want to be treated this way, then why insist on demanding a bride price? Bride price itself is a remnant of feudal society. In today's society, this practice is no longer necessary. If the other party is willing to give a bride price, it is an expression of goodwill and respect, and we can accept it with gratitude. But if they don't provide a bride price, should we really reject the marriage because of that? You must understand, once you tie marriage to a bride price, you are essentially selling yourself. And by accepting the bride price, it implies that you have agreed to certain obligations. Are you ready to serve your parents-in-law, care for your husband, and take on the role of a wife as defined in the old society? If that's the case, then your husband doesn't have to do anything, because he gave you hundreds of thousands of yuan as a bride price, so you were expected to serve him. After all, any form of giving and receiving is essentially an exchange. Therefore, we cannot hold double standards on this issue. If you believe that you cannot accept the old-fashioned model of marriage and cannot bear the responsibilities of serving parents-in-law and a husband, then stop using the old rules to demand things in a modern marriage. After all, society has progressed, and the essence and meaning of marriage have changed accordingly. Do you agree with my perspective? Feel free to leave your comments. I'd love to hear your thoughts. If you like this video, please like and subscribe to our channel. Your support is very important to us, and we will continue to provide better programs for you. Thank you again for watching, and see you next time.